It's MistaJam on Capital Dance, and right now I am joined by one of my favourite humans, one of the biggest beams of light in the dance music scene, one of the most talented DJs and producers that I have the pleasure of saying that I know in person. And she is one half of this week's Jam Hot Record of the Week. It's the Blessed Madonna. Studio crew, make some noise!
Everybody. It's your little ray of light, the Blessed Madonna. I'm glad to be here.
You are, honestly, the last time I bumped into you in person was at Tomorrowland Festival at the hotel. And I was leaving the hotel and I'm like, I'm tired. And you had the biggest smile and you gave me the biggest hug and you gave me the energy to get home.
That is what I do. I am like a self-propelling love machine. I can't explain it. Because I'm sort of miserable in real life, but I love loving other people.
But listen, I am here with you today for very good reason. Not only have you got our Record of the Week this week, your collaboration with the one and only Kylie, but also the album. We're finally getting the album.
It's real. But it is done now.
Yes.
I'm not allowed to do anything. It exists. Physical copies exist.
Oh. Right now, I want to talk about this record right here with you and Kylie, Edge of Saturday Night. I mean, come on.
So the funny thing about this record is that when I signed to Warner Brothers and we were still in lockdown, they put me in a real studio for the, I pretty much had never been in one. And they said, maybe the demos are great. Maybe write a couple more songs for the album, 3 years later. But what happened was, it was, I think, the first day in the studio, and the first person that they sent over for me to talk to was a young lady named Jin, who you know quite well, and who probably about half the records on this station, Jenny was in the room for.
Yeah.
And
half the records in existence right now.
It's true. She's too smart. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to not just get a collaborator, but also like one of my very closest friends and a sister. And when I tell you that we wrote Edge of Saturday Night in 2 hours.
What?
Immediately. First thing that happened.
Wow.
So I had written the phrase Edge of Saturday Night down on a notepad when I was half asleep. I do that all the time. Like most of the ideas for songs, usually the central image comes from I wake up in the middle of the night, I want a piece of cheese, and I think about something. And no kidding, it was just like the sentence "Edge of Saturday Night" was on a notepad. The song sat there forever. Couldn't get anybody on it, and then Ray was on it. Ray came
Really?
in. Yeah, Ray was the original vocalist.
Wow.
This is before
Ray.
This is before Ray won the world.
Yes.
But Ginny and I had this total confidence in her. But then this was going to come out at the same time that Ray had releases. So I didn't have anybody. And on the first version of the album, it's not even on there because I couldn't find a vocalist.
Really?
Swear. And
wow.
Then I handed him the album, and my manager said, "You're going to get a phone call and you're going to want to pick it up." And I said, "I don't like surprises." And he was like, Kylie has recorded Edge. And we had never talked.
Wow. I mean, let's be very honest. I love Ray, and I've loved Ray for a number of years. And her having a little bit of a touch on this record, I think definitely has elevated it to where it is now.
Oh, me too. When I listened to the original demo version of it, which is Jenny very softly singing the words, whenever Ray comes in, she puts her twist on things, and then Kylie comes in and does it. You see those little fingerprints all over it, and what a joy that is to have this thing that and all the other people too. They're that when I was arranging the album and doing sessions, every single person has this little thumbprint, and to me, that's not a loss, that's a gain.
Honestly, that is so beautiful. And I'll be very honest, that energy comes through in the song.
Oh, good.
There is something when you first hear the start of the song, it's almost like a call to the dance floor. And you don't know why. You know that it's good, but you don't quite know why it's such a pull. It's got that iconic dance floor pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, and I'm somebody that I think always in terms of references. I think that's like DJ brain. And I was trying to think of what's a perfect record, and there's this record called "Dancer" by Gino Socio, which it has like 3 bass lines, but the first one that comes in, it's just the 4/4 kick, and it goes dun 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 dun. You know, and I thought, you could do that. And it does. It kind of has that thing where you're like, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it does.
The energy of the song and the energy of that moment with you and Jinjin, the energy of that moment that then became you, Jinjin, and Ray, and now you, Jinjin, Ray's fingerprints, and Kylie, that comes through in the visuals that you have put together for this song. Talk to me about you and Kylie partying at Pikes.
I swear that video is just kind of what happened. Like, you can see there's parts where we're kind of, I mean, like, we decide what we're going to do, and it's, like, playful, like when we were, like, stealing each other's glasses, but that's because that's just what we were doing. Like, in even this stuff where there's a pillow fight, I just showed up in her room, and she had all of her little outfits, and we jumped in her bed, and I was, like, pulling her by her feet. At one point, I put Kylie's foot in my mouth. Like, I don't have a foot thing, but, like...
Now you do.
It's a good foot. I love Kylie Minogue so much. And she's such a professional. There was one point where I was so tired. I mean, it was like a really long day, and they were like, "Should we take a break?" And I was like, "I would love to take a break. I have to DJ, whatever, 4,000 o'clock. I want to sleep for 2 hours." And I was like, "Kylie, you probably want a break too." And she goes, "No, I've been on TV since I was 12." And I was like, "Word, well, I'm gonna go lay down."
I want to know everything about this album, please. Because every time that you've been in, you've said the album's come in, the debut album's come in, you've been working on it for a while, but you haven't been able to give too much information. But now you can.
I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to leak the album in Chicago. So this album doesn't come out until later in October.
Yes.
But it has already come out in Chicago.
I love that. Why Chicago?
Since the beginning, when I started making records, when I was allowed to put out records, and we would always hand stamp everything, and, we didn't have distribution, so you'd just physically carry it down to Gramophone, which is a record store that's been open for almost 50 years or something. Every record that I have done, including even like the Levitating remix, I always gave it to Gramophone first. I couldn't walk it to Gramophone then because we were in lockdown.
Of course.
But I still hand stamp them, and I still hand number them. And everything that I have done, even as I've gone on to work with Warner Brothers, that I have any control over whatsoever, I always make a batch of 100, and I take it to Gramophone physically myself and hand deliver it. So the album is called Godspeed, which it means both kind of like good luck and goodbye. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of what this album is about. Like, it's about new journeys, and it's about loss, and it's about being on the edge of things. Transitions, the title track, Godspeed. And I am not kidding you. I wrote over here with my manager, Vinny, and I showed him the text message. I wrote it while I was asleep. And I, literally physically asleep. And I texted it to my friend Pat, and I said, don't let me forget. I said, this is it. I was like, this is a hit. Don't let me forget I did this. Of course he did. And then it was like the last day or two before I was due to hand him the album, which was not called Godspeed at that time. And I was like, I want to do something on this album that pays respect directly in the way that Daft Punk did with Teachers.
Yeah.
We finished it. It was the last thing. And the album opens with me saying this quote. The first song on it is called God Has Left the Room. There was this quote from Quincy Jones saying, like, when you start thinking about money, when you're making music, God leaves the room.
Yeah.
And I said, well, God has left the room and I don't want that. And it was caught on a hot mic in the middle of the session for Count on My Love when I was really going through a real crisis about what this album would sound like. And I wrote like 100 records for this.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing really is just about like transitions and what they mean, and also just wanting something richer and deeper in dance music. I am from Kentucky, but I am of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was allowed to become who I am there.
Wow. And what a way to make sure that, that the album is launched properly. Because from the perspective of looking at the collaborations list, Joy Crooks, Joy Anonymous, A-Track, Daniel Wilson, Con, Kylie Minogue, the backbone of you bringing these people together. And then you're bringing all of these people together in Chicago to hear it. That's got to have been a moment.
Oh, it was. It felt surreal and good and right.
Yeah.
And to have my Chicago family, I mean, it's tough. I live here. I love London. I want to be here. Most people have to leave home eventually.
Of course.
But they say you can't go home. You can go home.
And not only did you go home, you went home and said, look what I've made. I cannot wait to hear the whole album in full. But until then, the last time you came in, we spoke to you about being the Rave fairy godmother.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to ask you advice.
Very serious job.
It is a really serious job, and there is nobody else that can do it.
It's true.
There is nobody else in the universe that could do it. So I feel like I have to ask you some advice, because we're coming out of festival season. We're going into club season.
Thank God.
And I want to pick your brains on how a listener to Capital Dance right now could plan a perfect party.
Hit me.
Location.
Somebody's house.
Perfect. Nighttime or daytime?
Both.
Yes! Indoor or outdoor?
Indoor.
Oh, yeah. Are you DJing yourself?
Yes.
Okay. 3 artists that have to be on the lineup.
Zernel Grimy, the legendary disco DJ because he actually can DJ on a reel-to-reel.
Ooh.
And that's just something you want to see. A-Track, because he's just that good.
Mm.
How many did you say? 3?
3.
And me.
I mean, you're on it already.
Oh, me twice.
Yeah, you do the opening, the guests come on, you do the closing.
Yeah, obviously.
Done deal. Is there a theme or a dress code?
No, I don't like dress codes. I don't like. I'm not huge on themes, but when I used to throw illegal parties in Chicago, I took a deck of cards and I wrote the address on each card.
Wow.
And the name of the party was Trust Us. So we wrote Trust Us on the front of it, and on the back was the address. And so you knew that there were only 52 invitations. And that's how we would invite people to the parties. And that is actually where We Still Believe comes from. The first Trust Us is where the We Still Believe sign, which was just on a box.
Wow.
More than 52 people showed up. And the last time I did it there was, the last time we did one was the day I got married or the day after. And the last thing that I remember was we had this little bar in the kitchen. And the last thing I remember was Derek Carter being the bartender and him going, I'm the bartender now. Yeah.
Phone policy.
Oh, you got to tell people not to put it on the internet. So I'm just so over it. We put stickers on people's phones at the gramophone party.
Yeah. Some things aren't for the internet.
I want to do my dirt and not have it get on the internet.
Hence, parties are for parties.
I'm trying to do my dirt.
Well, listen, there's certain records that have come out over the last few years where I've heard them and I've gone, that's exactly what I've been trying to do, but that's just so much better than anything that I've done, and Happy is one of those songs.
Oh, well, thank you. It took a second to nail it. There's about 20 versions of it. I had a moment of clarity about what the record was supposed to sound like, that it should kind of exist a little bit out of time, like that it could sound new or old. And I remember the first time I played it at Smart Bar, my former tour manager, production partner, DJ partner, we learned to produce together, and we also like DJ'd back to back for a trillion years. And he goes, "Oh, I haven't heard this in so long." And I thought, yes. Yes.
Do you know who else loves this song? My 6-year-old daughter.
Oh, I get videos of kids dancing to this all the time. When I tell you, and then if I don't play it, God help me. Like at a show, if I have not played it, the British hens on vacation, the Hindu contingency would like a word with me.
Blessed Madonna, thank you for passing by Capitol Dance Towers once again.
I would come anytime.
I mean, you say that, and I know that you mean that.
If you need a cup of tea.
Do you know what? I'm going to wear a Jacobless cape, and you can carry it for.
If you wear a cape, I'll carry it around. I'm also excellent at making grilled cheeses.
Now you tell me.
I don't have a lot of skills, and I don't have any hobbies, I'll make you a sandwich.